The focal points of today's homily come from my two grandchildren, Sophia, who is 3, and my grandson, Jacob, who is 2. The other day, Sophia had this very same stethoscope, put it up to me, listened, and said, "Papa, you have no heart." Now, this doesn't come as a surprise to anybody here that knows me, but to the guests, it might be a surprise. So, the words of wisdom from Sophia are, "Papa, you have no heart." Now, my grandson, Jacob, whenever he sees the fire trucks go by our house, because we live very close to the fire truck, he gets real excited and he runs through the window and he says, "Go fast, go help." So the words of wisdom from Jacob are, "Go fast, go help." Let's talk about the symbolism in today's first reading. We hear the people of Israel complaining against God and saying, "Why have you brought us up from Egypt to die in the desert? There is no food or water. We are disgusted by this wretched food." If Sophia were to examine, she would have said, "Papa, they have no heart." Impatient. Because they complained, God sent serpents to bite the people so that they died. Then the people realized they had bit the hand that fed them. So they asked their priest Moses to pray to God to take the serpents away. Moses was instructed to make a serpent and mount it on a pole for the people to look at and be saved. Those that looked at the serpent on the pole were saved. Make no mistake about it. This foreshadowed Christ being lifted on the cross. Jacob would say, "Moses, go fast, go help." I need to interject some symbolism not specifically covered in today's reading. When a woman, Eve, at the serpent's suggestion, decided that she and her husband should eat of the forbidden fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, this defiance created original sin for all mankind. Sophia would say, "Papa, they have no heart." Later, Mary, a virgin who would give an unconditional yes to God, would be the mother of salvation. This is shown symbolically in many statues of Mary, as portraying her standing on the head of the serpent. Jacob would say, "Mary, go fast, go help." Now let's talk about some symbolism of the cross. First, we're going to need a brief salvation history lesson. God created everything, and everything was good. In Genesis, we read that God breathed His Spirit into the clay to form man. Everything was good, and man walked with God. Man and God were in right relationship. Sin entered creation through Adam and Eve's disobedience of God's command. This is referred to as original sin, in which all subsequent offspring of Adam and Eve, that's you and me, are subject and afflicted. Sin occurs through our disobedience of God's commands and laws today. Sin is an offense against God and can't stand in God's presence. Sophia would say, "Papa, they have no heart." In God's loving mercy is the desire that humanity become reconciled to the Creator, God Himself. Or another way to say that is to be in a right relationship with God. However, God's justice requires retribution or compensation. Mankind has nothing to offer God to pay retribution or compensation because God has created everything and everything is God's. we possess is borrowed from God because it all belongs to God. Humanity needed to be reconciled. Thus enters the Son of God, Jesus. Jesus takes on humanity via the Virgin Mary. Jesus, the spotless Lamb, offers his life for the salvation of the world. Jesus, who is fully God and fully human by his sacrifice on the cross, is humanity's retribution or compensation to God for the sins of past generations, our generation, and all generations to come. We do not exalt the heinous device that inflicts humiliation, suffering, and death. What we exalt is the intersection of the fully human Jesus and the fully divine Jesus, who through his sacred heart brought redemption for all humanity. Jacob would say, Jesus, go fast, go help. Up to this point, everything has been history, theory, and symbolism. However, the exaltation of the cross demands action on our part. We are to pick up our cross and follow Jesus as an example. We are to be the nailed hands and feet of Christ for the salvation of the world. Empowered by the Eucharistic sacrifice, we are to be the intersection of humanity and divinity for a troubled world. Just as Jesus brought salvation to humanity, we are called to bring salvation to our world. Just like Jesus, we are to have a radical love for all mankind. Hopefully, if Sophia would take this and examine our hearts, she would say, Jesus, Papa, they have hearts just like Jesus. And she would turn to her cousin, Jacob, and he would say, go fast.